Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about upgrades we're doing to the MT07. So in the last video, we talked about all the things I disliked about it. The suspension, the quiet exhaust, all those sorts of things. How it was difficult to get this rear swing arm up, so we got spools in. So the first thing, and I'm not going to take you through every detail of this, was I talked about the Dave Moss tuning upgrade for the fork. And so his basic suggestion was take this top cap off, take off 10 millimeters from this front spacer out of the fork. And I didn't really see anyone online showing you any of the how-tos or the technicals, so I already did it, but I took photos along the way. And so the basics of how to do this process are that if you want to change the fork oil too and not just do the spacer, and you want to do it right. So I wanted to change out the fork oil because this bike had lived outside previous to me buying it, and I wasn't sure of the condition. As it turns out, it was very black and gray and very water potentially contaminated, which I was very surprised to see. It was like red with a lot of brown in it. So if you want to take the forks off and do the job completely, then what you'll have to do is start by taking off the brake calipers on each side, and then you want to pop apart the fender. So this fender's 3-piece fender, right? You've got this piece separate from the center piece. Take this bolt out, pull it to the side, like lean it up, and then snap it forward. Lean it up, snap it forward. And then on each side, and then you'll be able to get this out. And then take your tire off. You'll back this bolt off while leaving these ones still tight, just to break this top nut loose while you still have the clamp holding it. And then once that's broken loose, you can undo these bolts. You've got your axle out, slide your fork off. I kept that to this fork at first and then took this fork off. When I finished with this fork, I put it back in, used the axle to line everything back up, and then I took the axle back out and did this fork. So it's pretty simple. These forks are very easy when you get inside of them. You got this top aluminum cap to take off. It'll put off a lot of very fine like aluminum hairs and shreds because it's against a steel washer. So you have a steel washer like this. In the video, Dave Moss talks about using a pipe cutter. So there are various different pipe cutters. You might wonder, what size pipe cutter do I need in order to do this job? For me, I used this 1/8 inch to 1 1/8 inch OD. You'll see that this spacer is actually, so this is a little bit over 1 1/4 inch, or this many millimeters. It's very thin. A lot of these pipe cutters are only intended for cutting copper pipe, and so you'll have to work these pretty hard, but they do give you a nice clean cut. They can raise the edge around here if it's a dull blade on your pipe cutter. And this part at the weld seam is the thickest. And so you'll want to work back and forth over the weld seam, especially to make sure you cut through that section. These are the 10 millimeters I cut off of my sections. And then you put it all back together. I used a 15 weight oil in it. Pretty simple job, honestly. And then we're going to change our attention to the headers and the exhaust. So the next important part of this job is that we've got to get the ECU out so that we can send it and flash it. So I actually did the ECU first before I did the forks, before I ordered my exhaust. And I sent this out to Two Wheel Dyno Works. I contacted them. They've got a great, really responsive email where they replied to me same day. So in order to get to the ECU, which is located right up here, take the seat off, push forward on each edge to reveal these bolts. Take those out. I saw a lot of people taking off both sides of the tank or whatever. You don't have to. Take off this center piece, which is just one bolt, and then it reveals these couple bolts. Take off the bolt that'll be here, the bolt that'll be there, and then this pops out. So you have to actually give it a nice tug, and then it'll reveal your ECU. You flip this clip over on its hinge and take off the ECU, mail it to them. I decided to go for an unbranded, no-name exhaust just to test it. I've always had name branded exhausts, but this one was so cheap I just had to try it. I contacted them at Two Wheel Dyno Works, and they said they had tested one with their R7 and MT07, and that they had a tune for it. So I figured if it was good enough for them to use it and they didn't say that it was bad or anything like that, then it would be good enough for us. We're not going to walk through every single step of installing this exhaust, but just initial impressions of receiving it. It comes in, you know, unbranded boxes that just say made in China on it. But it looks to be in pretty decent shape. This is just styrofoam on it. It looks to be actually in pretty decent shape and look pretty good. So we're gonna put this on and see how it goes. Okay, so I ended up not filming the installation of this exhaust because it was just very basic and straightforward. I think it looks pretty good for being, you know, a $140 cheap Chinese exhaust off eBay. So this one, it was listed for about $155, but you can make him an offer. So I offered him $150 and he took it. So that's what that exhaust looks like. I took the baffle out already, and now we're just waiting for our ECU to arrive. I will link below the description. There was a good video on YouTube already about how to install one of these, so I will put that in the video description. And also, last thing, I decided to do a new air intake. So I took the snorkel off because Two Wheel Dyno Works says you get some more power by taking the snorkel out. So I took the snorkel out. I put an aftermarket foam filter in to try to get some more flow. I've seen a lot of people, when they go to do this mod and take the snorkel out, they take this whole side fairing off. They take the gas tank off or move it forward. And in order to get to these Phillips heads, I just used one of the little drill bit kind of adapters, you know, the stubby little 1/4 inch drive adapters and a 1/4 inch wrench, and I just got in there and there's enough room to work without taking everything off. So that's how I did it. I just got a notice that the ECU is in the mail getting shipped from Two Wheel Dyno Works. So I'm super excited to get this thing on the road in a couple of days. I hope you are excited to see it, and let me know what other mods you've done to your FZ that you think I should do this one, and I will post this video probably right about the same time as my first ride impression with all these modifications. Thanks for checking in, and we'll catch you on the next video.